What are the satellites saying, Victor?
Right now, not a goddamn thing. I've lost the signal.
Hello everyone, this is Dave Owen from the6axis.com, and I am joined by the man with the weirdest taste in shoes. It's Mr. Teflon. Say hello, Tef.
Hello. They're not that strange. Some people think they're cool.
Some
people.
Let's talk about Uncharted 4. Now, you've been playing... What is it you've been playing?
I played a short demo from Madagascar. You've seen this a couple of times in the past as well. So the demo from E3, I think it was last year, where they showed off the marketplace and the Jeep driving, and then a bit of combat, that was in Madagascar.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where that was, to be honest, because it looked like it could have been from anywhere that's, in the equator or anything like that.
Any of those countries which have got colourful roofs. And so the kind of reason why Drake and his cohorts are here is because he's on the trail of Henry Avery. And as this was described to us, Henry Avery's a pretty badass character. He was a pirate, obviously. And he only had a very brief 2-year career, during which he very quickly managed to become the most wanted man on the world by the British government, by the East India Company, and stuff like this. And the reason for this was that he managed to gather together a group of pirate captains, and they had a little pirate fleet. And they got something like the modern equivalent of $400 million.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then made off with it, and that treasure's never been found, and so this is why they're in Madagascar, because they found some clues.
Interesting. So is Henry Avery based on, a proper historical figure?
Yeah, no, this is a real guy, you can look him up. Because it's always, the Uncharted series, it always does that, padding into the known, and then fleshing it out with a bit of supernatural, or some kind of mystery, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And they've just found an interesting character, an actual lost treasure, which they can try and dig up and find. And so, there somewhere in the world there is this big pile of gold coins and stuff like this. And obviously you're not the only ones after this money. You've got Rafe and Nadine, who are two characters which have been recently revealed, and they've got the Shoreline PMC backing them up, and so they're kind of guys with guns. This is Uncharted, you've got shooting to do. But yeah, it's an interesting setup. I quite like it.
Cool. Now, as we saw in the E3 demo that they've shown, there was a bit of Jeep driving. Mm-hmm. So is that just for set pieces, or is there more? Is it more involved?
No, it goes way beyond that. The Jeep is actually going to be quite a big part of the game, it seems. And so what was nice about that E3 demo was that you could take different paths down the hill. And so you had different side roads, and during the bit where you're shooting, you had options to get away from the truck that was shooting at you. But in this demo, and what you'll see in the background, you're actually kind of given free rein to drive around and explore the world. And so, you're funneled down a particular path. There is a destination, but they like to talk about wide linear levels. And so you're in this Jeep, you're in a 4x4, you can go left around a cliff face, and you might encounter kind of like a waterfall, and then you'd be like, oh, I've got to double back. You're basically playing as you would the Uncharted game, but you're in a Jeep, and so it's just on the bigger scale, and there's bits of kind of not platforming, but traversal, where you've got a difficult slope to get up. You've got slippery slopes, which are wet mud, which even the 4x4 is going to struggle with, and then you need to try and find a way where you can stick to sections of the slope which will give you traction, which have got rocks, or you've even got a tow cable, and there's nice bits of dialogue where Sully's just like,
Oh, your brother insisted on getting a 4x4 with a winch.
So you sprung for the winch, but you couldn't spring for the suspension. I got it.
Hey, it's important. Going off-road, it might rain, might be muddy.
How did we go through this whole goddamn thing and never use that winch?
See?
Shit.
it's just little bits of incidental dialogue. And yeah, I mean, the Jeep driving is actually really fun. I think it's done in such a way that it's in keeping with the Uncharted series as a whole.
So as someone who's gone to festivals and seen people getting stuck in the mud with, cars that are just inappropriate for wet terrain, how realistic does it look when you're, going up the slippery slopes? Is it does the car just go out of control, or
Yeah,
does it?
well, it fishtails a lot. Like the physics modelling is done really quite well, I think. So if you're absolutely hammering it to try and get up the hill, one of your tyres manages to get onto a bit of dry mud, which has got rocks in it, so it's got grip.
Yeah.
The other three tyres are going to spin up, and they're going to go in a completely different direction. It's going to be like you're going to be on the edge of control. And I really like that. It just feels good, and it makes sense as you're playing it as well.
Cool. You mentioned that obviously Sully is back, but you also mentioned a character called Sam. Now, for those people who don't know who Sam is, who is Sam?
Sam is Sam Drake, who is Nate's long-lost brother. And the reason why you've never met him before is because I think that it was explained to me that Drake actually thought he was dead. Or basically he'd kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. And Sam is the one who's come up with this tip of where Henry Avery's loot is. But he's also in trouble. And yeah, I mean, he's a nice character. It's kind of funny how he and Nate sound related. They've got two voices which go well together, and they kind of feel like they could be brothers.
Well, it is Troy Baker playing Sam, apparently. And obviously Nolan North is Nathan Drake. So they're two high-profile voice actors in the voice acting.
Yeah, no, you're right, yeah. Yeah,
So-
and I mean, Troy Baker obviously is very good at doing voices as well. So he's the kind of actor who can come in and say, I'm going to do a voice which is not too far removed from Nolan North.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's that video where he does an impression of Nolan North.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, you're quite right.
Yeah.
Obviously, Uncharted is not just about, exploring and all that kind of stuff. There's also combat in there. So,
That is.
what's new about the combat? Is there anything like drastically different from what players have already played, or is it more of the same of just shooting everyone third person and takedowns and all that stuff?
It's an expansion. So I already mentioned wide linear, and there's basically, you've got a point in the distance, but there's breadth to the path that you can take. The combat situation, which I fought through in this demo, it was kind of a sandbox area. There's PMC guys going around on patrol, and you have to tackle this in a different way compared to previous games, because there was more funneled, more of a corridor. And so you do have new things that you can and will probably need to do. So you can spot and mark. That's the first thing. Sometimes you'll come into this area where you can go stealthily, and this is properly stealth.
So more like The Last of Us rather than anything else?
Yeah, it's an extension of The Last of Us again, yeah. Because one of the things I didn't like about Uncharted 2 stealth and Uncharted 3 stealth was that it was always a prelude to combat, and that's true of The Last of Us as well. But here you could actually go through an entire counter stealthily, and you can actually lose the line of sight to an enemy, and then they won't know where you are. But they'll, it's the kind of last known position. They will try and find you again, and you can go hide in the tall grass again. You can get the drop on them and catch them from unexpected areas. And that's, it's a nice mechanic, and it feels fresh and invigorating, and it just sort of like gives you the control over the fight. And that's what I like about it. And so there was a sniper up in the tower, and I was like, well, that sniper's going to be a real pain in the arse, so I'm going to get to him first. And I was just able to find a route around. There was another sniper, had to take him out, nearly got discovered, that kind of stuff. And so, but I did manage to get up to the tower and take out this other sniper. And then it was from that point that I was like, okay, now I'm going to shoot some guys, because I'm in the sniper's nest, and sucks to be them. Also, I was able to play around and move from that position, lose the line of sight, and come at them from a different angle. You can obviously just barrel in there. You can drive into this one particular area with the Jeep. You can run someone over and then hop out, and it's all explosions and stuff going off everywhere. But then you
So
still
there's a
need
lot of player choice then. In that
yeah,
case.
exactly. But if you do that, you still need to be aware that the enemies can come at you from different directions. They can come at you from the sides or even behind, depending on where they are in the area. And so it's a bit more freeform, you need to think about it a bit more than just hunker down behind a piece of cover and start shooting stuff.
You mentioned something about a grappling hook to me earlier.
Yeah, so I didn't really use this too much, but there are the grappling points within the levels, and some of this is going to be for platforming sections. And it's actually, a lot of people will have had quite a bit of fun with the grappling hook in the multiplayer betas. And it's the same in the combat within the single player here, where you've got a grappling hook point and you can send yourself swinging around. It looks cool, and it's also going to be useful for getting out of combat as well, and doing the whole breaking line of sight and getting the drop on them from a second time from a different angle.
Awesome. So Uncharted 4 is going to be releasing on May 10th, and from the sounds of things, it sounds really good.
Yeah, Naughty Dog are really pushing things further than they ever have before, and I think that's really good to see.
Good stuff. Well, that's where we're going to wrap things up for today. You can head over to thesixthaxis.com to read our written preview and an interview with Arnie Meyer from Naughty Dog. But before you go, if you like this video, you know what to do really, but, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Look, shoreline.
Yeah, they're definitely going all in, aren't they?
And getting awful close to that volcano.
Thinking the same damn thing. What if they found the treasure already?
Well, look, they're searching every inch of this place. If they'd found it already, they wouldn't be searching.
Yeah, you're right.